All what they want is a banana, because they know that's what can solve their need. Their need is to have food. So they are not so much concerned how to do the ecology and the details. But at least you see that they can come and take the seed and try to do something.
Well, I'm really curious to see what the farm looks like. And I heard you use the words true success. What does that mean?
True success is coming with the value of
Sure, go.
Exploring what you feel that is not impossible. You know, in the beginning, I had a lot of doubts of what I was doing concerning transforming soils, especially in a much more devastated lands that are much more prone, already polluted, already light, like having trouble like with the soil structures. And you could tell people that you can transform this soil. As a trainer and a teacher, you teach people to do things, and sometimes it's so difficult for you to, you know, continuous have a debate with people when you have no evidence. So this project worked as evidence, because I'll show you the photo before and the photo now. It will truly give you a clear understanding how success this project is in terms of soil restoration, soil building, creating a new ecosystem. We don't use chemical here. It's purely no chemical in this farm. Pure organic. We have the rabbits, helped us. They are the doctors of the plants. They are working quite so well at the moment.
Well, you've also used the words extreme value.
It's an extreme.
What does that mean?
An extreme value. These are farms. The ideas that I explain to people. How can you realize commercial models of permaculture? And this project was designed to demonstrate self-funding possibilities. And self-funding possibilities come as a result on how do you structure your plants so that they can serve your needs. So the project was designed to address my needs as a person or persona, then the needs of my organization, so that I can go further to develop or operate without funding or financial aid. And truly, I'm running my farm without financial aid. I started my farm without financial aid.
I'm curious to go up here.
Oh, surely, yes.
And to see if there's some vanilla.
Oh, the vanilla is... let's see. We have to move for selective. Yeah. Do you have vanilla? Yeah. Well, this is a composting unit. You have seen this one?
What do you call this? A pit compost?
Yeah, pit compost.
How does it work?
We collect. It's where we first do the first collections of the whole rabbit poo. Yeah. And the organic matter of cut ravage of plants and mixed here. Then after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we move and start composting. So this is like a receiving point.
Do you turn it at any point?
Oh, sure. We have actually to move it here to that open space, then cover it.
How long do you cover it for?
2 weeks. We know at 2 weeks and turn based on how it breaks down, because also how much heat it gets also influence how.
And the humidity?
Yeah, normally, but in the dry sun you can easily make compost quickly than in the rain season.
And then where do you put your compost? Just back into the garden?
Right on the plants, right away to the plants.
Do you dig it in or do you just put on top?
No, we put it just in, like in between there. Yeah, we don't dig it in because we already have a bit of shade, so it doesn't dry out so fast.
Do you use a chop and drop method with your... Sometime, especially during harvesting of the bananas,
we chop and drop the stem.
How many types of bananas do you have inside
I have
this?
6 species.
Sure. And each have a different function?
They have a different output in terms of
output.
produce.
Give me an example.
Now that banana produces green banana, which is used for cooking. We have the small apple bananas. They're very small and they get yellow. We have the long banana, which is a yellow banana. We call it the yellow banana, which is pretty big.
Yeah?
Yeah. Pretty.
Let's see if we see some this side. Oh, chicken.
It's pretty big.
Sure, that's a big chicken.
Yeah. They are moving around. So like chop and drop, you can see like this one. We cut and mix around the vanilla. Because the vanilla moves a lot. But remember, we are in the system where we are using these other spaces.
What is this?
That's togeotrophy.
And that's what the vanilla grows on?
Yeah. That's
Do you plant that specifically?
Oh, sure, yes. But also this is medicinal. It has medicinal elements. And we are going further to have a laboratory that we want to extract liquids from every plant we have in the garden.
Essential oils?
Further, we can go further to essential oils, but the main purpose is to study the elements in these plants so that we explore more possibilities of organic pesticides.
I like that.
Yeah. So
Charles, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you actually think that permaculture is an answer to food security?
It answers the universal needs of a human being.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning more than food security. Because food security is a mixture, is a combined need. Because food security comes from healthy soils. Before you start growing, do you have healthy soils? Before you start growing, do you have enough water? So food security is also attitude. What's the attitude of people about how they want to live? You know, is their willingness to adapt, to cooperate with nature so that they can realize food security. Because if we induce the problem, how can we re-induce the, if we are trying to influence the problems to come in place, such as food security, whereby everybody thinks they can buy everything from the supermarket, and they forget like they can be part of the chain, let's say making small gardens at home, contributing to the value chain process. So,
how old were you when you found out about permaculture, or when you were introduced to it?
That was in 2008. I think I was about 13 years, 12 years. Yeah, that's when I was introduced to permaculture by a guy. Unfortunately, now he passed on. He's called Dan Palmer. Dan Palmer and other colleagues, David Cameron, some other colleagues of Amanda and Rosemary Morrow, who has been my mentor for a very long time, and up to today. So from that time I was a shamba boy helping on the farm, many young people. Many young people. Could we see the vanilla beans?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Where are the vanilla beans?
But what is a shamba boy?
Shamba boy is somebody who helps on the farm. Who helps? Like, do you know somebody who works with like a handbag? You know a handbag? You have a handbag.
So you would have been my handbag.
Yeah, handbag. Working with somebody. You know, you can look at my coffee. No pesticide here. Nothing like pesticide. No chemical. Only the urine.
From the rabbits?
Yeah, from rabbits and tobacco. We integrate a lot of tobacco here.
So, Charles, what does it look around this farm? What does it look like? Is it jungle around the farm?
No.
What is on the outskirts of this farm?
The outskirts is an urban area, a developing factory. You see now another factory, steel factory. Then I have the residential area coming up in this estate. So eventually in 2 years, this is going to be almost a full estate of people.
On this side?
On this side. Because all of that land is divided into plots. And on acquiring this place was also in plots.
Will you be able to keep it as a farm?
Definitely, that's our main ambition, to keep it as a study. It is near the city, and we can leverage in continuously offering support to train people, educate people. But also our next stage, which is stage 4, involves growing a lot of vegetables and a lot of herbs.
Where would you grow them? In between?
Oh, surely, yes. In between.
This is like a very progressive biodynamic farm that you guys are setting up here.
Very, very interesting. And you can see the light can reach here. All these places are ready to receive plants. And on receiving the plants, we want to make sure we have 2 elements ready. We want to have a cow, 1 cow. So why we want to have 1 cow? We want to study each quantity of its waste, how it's used. The urine and the cow dung. Then we have also 1 goat, so that we can study the unit quantities of 1 goat and how it is used. So we will have a weighing scale. So we have a collection point.
Yeah.
And before, let's say we collect the whole poo, and at the end of the week, we come and measure. We collect all the poo and the urine, and at the end of the week, we come and measure it before we use it, so that we know in 1 week, this cow can give us 100 kilograms of cow dung with 40 jerrycans of urine. So that means we can be able to quantify.
Why would you want to quantify? I hear you talk a lot about investment back into Africa and people not really believing that permaculture is able to serve as a solution.
We are trying to quantify, to create a possibility of factual data, because that's one missing gap of data. Qualitative and quantitative data, in organic farming. And permaculture is definitely much organic. It's definitely an organic, embedded system. But there is a gap where investors want to know the numbers. How are the inputs working, so that they can trust you with their money. And if definitely we want to scale permaculture to replace the industry, we have got to prove these things. Yeah, there are serious questions that we have to prove to the people who want to invest. So, and that can create a more transparent accountability, and to know how much energy you need, how much time you need. So how much time you need to evolve a system, how much fertilizer you need to use on each plant. So if you have 20 cows on the system, because some people say, how much cow dung do I need for 40 acres? So the possibility might not be only having cow dung, but also having a bit of cow dung and other elements that you can mix and make compost. But also 40 acres of a commercial mode of organic farming, that's quite, so large. So we want to know the small quantities on each and how can we replicate them. And replicating them might not be increasing quantities, might be how you integrate these the systems to work symbiotically, that they can support each other along the way. That because permaculture, as you go, when you are investing, it can start as a sharp hill, but it must be a declining hill in terms of capital investments along the way, which is so much different with other businesses sometimes. So redefining permaculture in a commercial sense has been a need, and many scholars have not come up to stand up to defend that. Many scholars have been doing social permaculture, refugee camp, but any investment that has no value proposition on its investment, it looks as a failed business. And I'm not ready to tell people permaculture is a failed business. It is never a failed business, because the input and the transformation on the natural resources is very, very present, very practical. And permaculture is very practical. When I was starting this farm, I used to come here and dress and work with my workers, digging these holes, the first holes of these bananas, after doing the pilot study, as you will see in the diagrams before. My neighbor told me I have a mental problem. Sadly now he's sick, but at that time he told me I have a problem. A young man from America is wasting money. He used even to pass by, look at me. Then after 1 year, he came and apologized. After seeing the changes and everything, he came and said, I want to apologize. I remember that I'm one of the people who abused you when you were starting. Then he asked for me 2 bunches of bananas. It was Christmas time. And I told the farm manager, give him 2 the bunches of bananas. And within no blink of an eye, all my community members, they started taking. They come convince my workers, and my workers sell the bananas without my knowledge. So before I know, I see a sprouting village of bananas on the other side. Even though my workers were not transparent, still the evidence was there that, they had definitely, I could not, choose them for what they did, but I was happy that at least the community, my neighbors, started doing the same. But not at the level of this, because they are much more problem oriented in terms of living. If they want food, they say, let me plant a banana. And, so we still need more awareness to help people sink into ideas of this kind, that because for them they grow maybe for food and sell some, which is subsistence farming. So agriculture in Uganda is still at a large subsistence farming in the biggest.
Not commercial.
Yeah, not commercial. It's not in a commercial, because here we collect records every day. Every day. It's a must, like every week. At least we should correct records. We get the days of documenting diseases, photographing plants, leaves, getting to understand the diseases and how can we solve them, and trying. So these are the kind of things that can stimulate products, different products in agro. So our main focus is to come to a possibility that we can identify much more accessible organic inputs in terms of pest management, IPM. So
this all leads me to my last question. I see the sun is setting and it's just a beautiful afternoon. What are, if you could just say 3 challenges off the top of your head that is keeping permaculture from being scalable at a commercial level, what would that be? What is keeping permaculture away from that?
I think one, many people have not challenged themselves to take a step to demonstrate permaculture in this kind of sense. So that people get confidence and say, okay, it is possible, he has done it. And sometimes people think it needs a lot of money to start. And that's what those quite limits I feel people think, which is not true. It's not true. At the same time, the many permaculture trainers have not come up to themselves to have their own farms.
Do you think there's something missing in the training that is keeping people away from that next step?
I think practical orientations and perspectives and very accessible examples, because you find someone teaching a PDC is from US teaching a PDC in Africa, alongside a course occupied by young African or like African people with the different perspectives, and the examples are too way far from them. You are giving an example of in Washington, in a farm in Washington, owned by someone who has been retired and earning some good money. He has a plan, he has an idea on business. We are not giving live examples based on those communities where the PDCs are trained.
Do you think
that I can see it as a problem, but also another problem, I think, on who takes the PDC, and this time who is really supposed to take a PDC. I think we need to invest in more young people to take PDCs, and also continuously push them to take on advanced courses and trainings, and also connect them to employment in the same space. So that process is not there. You do a PDC, you go back to your village, you live like a wonderland, trying to practice what you know, and trying to challenge other obstacles of people telling you that's not possible, that's possible. You keep working, but in the midst of so many conflicts with other people about your ideas. So that's also a big challenge. If you don't have motivation and courage, you will definitely abandon what you are doing.
Well, it seems like you still have some courage and motivation.
That's very interesting to think about, because I overcame. I have no complaints. Even though someone comes to challenge me, I will just tell him. Not even tell him, I just tell him, okay, come, I first show you the first step I made. We go further. The more you challenge me, the more it's good to challenge somebody at the same time. Because if you know the reason why someone's challenging you, definitely it can be for positivity. It creates if you take it positively, it can bring you to a point that you can discover the next step of what you need to do. Yeah, so I feel the possibility of creating a process and make it available to young people. How does someone start a PDC? And after a PDC, this is what you can do. Which farm is doing permaculture that you can go do an internship and train? Which other businesses where you can go and be employed? So that's why we need more investors in permaculture, so that they open up these businesses, so that the young people who practice permaculture can say, okay, there is a place where I can go try to have a job meantime if I own a farm. But everybody who starts a project wants to own a farm. It's not going to be so much possible for everybody to own a farm. But there are so much other places where we can apply permaculture, at workplaces, in businesses, in hospitals. Permaculture is a round, big perspective that we can try to explore in different ways. And who can help people to rethink on how to explore these things.
Do you think a model like this, for example, can be an economic model on a school ground?
Oh, much, yeah, definitely. Because I can use this model to design a retirement program in schools for teachers. The same further to design an empowerment program, an income generating program, vis-a-vis, that is powered for education purposes. So it is a multifunctional approach that you can customize to solve more than one problem in a queue, but with one leads to the other with minimal resources. So you can design to run it as a commercial model to make income, without costing nature. You go further to develop food security, because like an example here, we harvest food for the workers here. They can even grow other things they want, beans and so on. But my premium target in the system is to have an ecological perspective of commercial models in permaculture that can generate income. We can generate about 7 million from the coffee harvest. So in 1 year, that's 14 million.
What is that in dollars?
14 million. That's like $4,000. But the vanilla is the biggest player here. It's can give you 1 kilo, you go $140. We have about 700 plants currently, but some other plants are being replaced, 1,000 plants. So you can generate about 4 tons. Our target here is to generate 4 tons of vanilla, and those 4 tons will go for 1.2 billion Uganda shilling. 1.2 billion Uganda shilling. That's not a lot of money in dollars. It's about 200 million is about 50,000. So 50,000, 100,000, that's 400. So it's like 110 US dollars. Yeah, in a harvest, in a single harvest. Yeah.
Awesome.
But with this project, it creates evidence of ecological transformation, of completely transforming completely dead land to, because we got this land from a factory. Very bare, with sugarcane cut down and so on, with chemicals already been used for over years. And the soil wasn't this color. I will show you the photos. You will see I have photos of this place when it began. And the water retention also increased. There is more water if you dig now. But before, one cloud of rain comes and still dry.
Wow.
Yeah. It's very, very, with this project, I can die very satisfied. Right now, I'm feeling so happy that I feel like I've discovered myself. When I did this project, it's like doing that and say, that's it. I feel complete. I feel complete in my career in the way that I have evidence to show about what exactly I'm talking about. And that makes me feel very safe wherever I go. It gives me enough self-esteem. It gives me composure. It gives me a room to continuously rethink how to replicate this and make it better. So with this project, just imagine people expand this project, how much finance you can raise. And that's what we have done. We have investors who have invested the money. We are expanding on almost 200 acres of land. But expansion means also going further to have more elements, like having more fish dams, continuously increase more elements in the biodiversity, create a much more richer biodiversity. And that means having more inclusion of more other species. So, but some species need more space for playing. For their, like a fish, you can have minimal fish units, but for a functional system, normally it may not be large, but enough space for everything. Yeah, so we have land for that. And we are also going further to have our own production unit so that we add value to whatever we grow, starting from drying, and pounding, processing and packaging, so that we can have our own product, going further to have our own shop right in the, yeah. However, we continue to give, as a business, we continue to consult for other projects on this kind of projects, in this kind of sense. and that also brings in income, relationships, and also it is something that's good for us because we feel like there is adaptation and acceptance of the goodness of permaculture and the regenerative practices. So it is, if it is possible like this, it's very much possible. So nobody should tell us that we cannot do without Monsanto, we can't do anything without GMO. It's a big brainwashing. We don't need GMOs to discuss food security or to address food security. We don't need them. That's the reality. Because most of the Ugandans, which is about 45 million people, 80% are subsistence farmers. But subsistence farmers, do they have access to GMO seeds? Majorly here in Uganda, few people have access to GMO seeds. It's big corporations that have access to GMO seeds. You know, I cannot, it's, someone is going to, those people talking about Africa dying, people dying malnourished, I just doubt for Uganda that we have a big society of malnourished people. It's goodwill for someone to become malnourished here. I call it goodwill because he has accepted so. He has accepted not to use his land and his gifts because whether you go to Soroti, to Gulu, people can grow anything in Uganda. Despite of the harsh changing climate, we still can grow something with these ideas of water harvesting, basic ideas of, you know, indigenous practices. You still grow anything, and those are the mainly farmers, subsistence farmers, who have small plots of everything. Most of them don't even, if you drive Kayunga Road, where we have another farm, you will find bushes and bushes of bananas, but still they are fruiting. And someone will go in the bush, harvest that one banana. You know, so people are so selfish for nature. They are not giving, they are not supporting the ecology to serve them better. That's what I can say at the moment. They are not serve the ecology better so that it can reward you. That's one thing I can say that is happening in Uganda. But other experiences in other places is not much different, despite of the different climate, terrain. The people in Togo, where I have much more access. You see the farmers there, very synced in what they are doing, but at the cost of big corporations that have, you know, take whatever they grow. They are not investing back the money, so they are paying less money for whatever they are growing. And that's how also permaculture goes further, to bring people together to try to address, come into the market as a unit, as a unit, as a team, so that they can place a more bargaining power pressure.